Welcome to Very Honored Frater BT's Esoterinerd podcast, episode 63, in which Mary Delioussina and I interview Marina Smetanina. But first, Transformations and Footnotes. This is the segment in which I read my father's book, verse by verse. You can hear all of these segments in order by going to edward-reeb.com/VHFraterBT and listening to the introductions of episodes 18, 21, 24, 29, 34, 38, 42, 46, 52, 53, 57, and 59. This is Transformations by John Dan Reeb. Chapter 1, verse 20. Flesh place fear junkies also get to make lattices on their collective life wheel because of the 3 tie pins, which they call justification and regret. To both states of consciousness, the flesh place junkies give a lot of significance, which they call seriousness here in the world of bodies and pleasure pain. Verse 21. Sometimes, too, the flesh place fear junkies get tired of seriousness and then become hilarious. Most of those playing at being caught in the flesh place can be divided into 3 groups of stuckness. Those stuck in what they presume to be higher purpose, those stuck in what they presume to be their minds, and those stuck in what they feel are their body drives. Verse 22. You and I know that they already know something. The being parts, playing within ego masks, carrying passionate bodies of past games within ego masks, within whatever their environment husks may be, exist on all 3 levels in the flesh place. The way out is always there, and so obvious that it is overlooked or mistaken for self-sacrifice on one extreme, or body lock resulting in suicide on the other. Balancing them. First, in order to balance them, it is necessary to get in touch with them. And now for the footnotes. This is the part where I babble about what I just read. So lattices on the collective life wheel. The collective life wheel, of course, referring back to chapter 1, verse 17, where he talked about the 3 tie pins on the collective life wheel being irony, confusion, and paradox, or form, distance, and time. And that sometimes they become Procrustean when you think of being human as an only, but we all remember this from before. Now what he's saying is that there's these lattices which are called justification and regret, and they give them a lot of significance, which is called seriousness. And then it kind of moves off of that. It kind of leaves us to hang with that. So in a world where there's irony, confusion, and paradox, and form, distance, and time, then we have justification and regret. And they put a lot of seriousness on justification and regret. Okay, well, I guess if you look at, prisons and things like that, confessionals, not to mention just the inner chattering, going back and forth on whether or not you should or should have done something that's already been done. And then getting tired of seriousness, becoming hilarious. Go out, have a few drinks, smoke a few bowls, laugh, ha 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 ha, and then go back to work tomorrow and be serious. So creating a dichotomy, like Friday night party time, go out for drinks with the coworkers. I mean, yeah, you got to blow off some steam when you spend the whole week sitting in a cubicle, but is much being accomplished? So there's people stuck in their higher purpose, stuck in what he points out they're presuming is their minds, and stuck in what he feels are their body drives. Now you could go all over the place with that one. It's the mind that tells us it's a higher purpose. It's a mind that tells us it's our mind. It's a body mind that is decided to divide it up into mind and body. It was a thick part of a little nerve circle that became the brain of the ringworm back in the day. So if we're presuming it to be our minds and it's not, then what is it? The Akashic record dividing itself up honeycomb-like, looking at itself from within? Surely not. Being parts playing within ego masks, carrying passionate bodies of past games within ego masks. Didn't we meet in a past life? Weren't you my wife, or did we kill each other? Within whatever environment husks. Is it green? Is it blue? Are you upside down? How many legs do you have? The way out is always there. Now, how do you mistake balancing them for self-sacrifice? Oh, well, there's that whole crucifix thing they put everywhere. Body lock resulting in suicide? Well, yeah, there's the assumption that I have freedom to pollute myself and do things that don't make sense, and it would be enslaving myself to do the thing that actually seems right and good for me and everyone else, and in balance, and my mind and body and higher purpose are all kind of working together. Our guest tonight grew up in Soviet Russia. That is where her spiritual journey began. It followed her to the United States. We'll be discussing Russian iconography, the Russian Orthodox Church itself, and how things were under Soviet Russia in the 60s and 70s, as far as that goes, as well as yoga, crystals, Reiki, Prahnic Healing, and some very interesting and specific people that I'm now going to have to go and read the works of. Her daughter Mary, or Masha, is also present, helping her to come up with English words on occasion when she can't think of the right word. And so, without further ado, let's get to that interview, shall we?
I think Masha, you can sit here and move this chair. It's comfortable to you.
So I'm gonna sit on my computer.
But tell me first,
Wow,
this subject.
beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's not mine. It's making the restoration.
Wow, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, the restoration. I think it's a beginning of 20th century piece.
So you've been
Not
doing that
so.
for a long time, though, right?
Not so. My preparation for iconography was very long.
Mm-hmm.
Very long, and so many things happened really unconsciously. I think it started from my childhood, and I remember some images, some eyes, and I remember my first memory about church. It was I had a Nyanya means babysitter. She was very simple woman from the village, and she took me to the church, and I was really small, and I have this memory.
Also mentioned that it was Soviet Russia.
Yes, because it was absolutely not illegal, but just old babushkas, old ladies can go to the church.
Yeah.
If somebody saw some young people, it can be big problem.
Yeah.
And it was much easier to find information about yoga on some practice, but the Christianity,
they were cracking down on it,
and people had handwriting papers who give to each other with prayer to part of Bibles. Can you believe that we cannot read Bible because you cannot? If you ask somebody to, can you give me Bible for the night? No. I have no. It was very
interesting.
Yeah.
What was that near? What city was that?
Moscow.
Okay.
Moscow. I born on 1960. It means that my first memory about the church it was in 60s. And then it's very interesting idea that you can catch information like on a energetical way. I had a few teachers. One of she was our choir teacher, and she never talked about church music and like. But some inspirational inside her because she was a really prayerful person. How I understood now, and now I found her on internet. She's very famous choir director.
Nice.
And she's like head of the big chanting school. And another person, we draw with him and make some sculptures. And no any religions conversation. But now I know many people from that group, iconographers, restorers, and blah blah blah. And I was so lucky that my way to spirituality was through the art.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the images, the eyes, and it was really helped me to understand the reality of another world.
Yeah.
And of course music. And
oh, I love the incense, the music,
yeah,
and all
it's
of it
combination.
at once. Yeah.
Yes, it's very powerful.
I'll play some in the background so people can hear later.
Yes. It's little by little, and at the beginning, then I started to study architecture. It's not. It was very interesting reason also because when I was on the 6th grade at school, I visit my friend house, and on the wall it was very simple drawing, pencil drawing. It was a church, and I asked, what is it? Oh, it's my sister. She's study architecture in architectural academy in Moscow. And that year I'm starting to study architecture because of this little drawing. And of course, during the studies we travel a lot and we saw a lot of architectural monuments. And the most interesting, the most beautiful, it was churches and monasteries. On that time it was absolutely empty, or it's full of some garbage. And in Soviet time they make it like to they really would like to put something dirty in the church building. It was like
so you had to use your imagination to see kind of what it should look like.
Yes, of course. But when it was almost ruined, ruined. It was also very beautiful, and we
Yeah.
have very big connection. We can go through the walls to climb to the cupolas, and on the 1976, in the summertime, I had a practice in a very, very old town in Russia. It's called Veliki Novgorod, Great Novgorod, and we restored the old frescoes, which was destroyed on the Second World War. And we collect these pieces one by one, and we communicate with person who was head of this restoration, and his story was unbelievable because he was in part of the aristocratic family before revolution, and his parents took him to Paris immediately after revolution, but he studied Russian art, religions art, and in Second World War, he was on a French army, and then he was a prison camp, German, and there he met the woman. And after war, he asked to return to the Russian. Yeah, and he cannot live in Moscow. It's like it was a rule to live 101 kilometers from the big city. But he lived in a very interesting, beautiful city, and he restored gorgeous church. And after that, he started to work on a Novgorod, and he was also our teacher. And he teach us on a very quiet and very humble way. He give us last hour on the work day, we listen music. Mostly it was like very spiritual music, and he give us a lot of information about art, which is impossible to get from the Soviet time. Yeah, and he's also our spiritual teacher.
What was his name?
His name Alexander Petrovich Grekov.
Okay.
Yeah, and he restored that church. All these pieces, it's connected, and it's unbelievable restoration because the church was destroyed. Of course, the frescoes, no question about frescoes, no church. And he opened the layer of soil and remove these pieces, and years by years he tried to connect it each other. And I remember it was unbelievable moment. I'm sitting on the table and I try to find the, it's like a puzzle. But of course sometimes it's very boring because it's no result, and he goes around me and, oh, this piece I tried to find 15 years. It's nothing. It's like a very simple yellow piece with black dot. It's a pupil for orange martyr. He like a bird. He took this piece and he goes to this composition and he put this piece. It was really it's open-eyed for this saint.
Wow. So which church was this?
It's church Savior on the Kovalyov field near Novgorod. I have a book about this. It's very, very
nice. If anybody hears this and goes to Russia, then they can go find that and go, that's the eye, that's the one that she was talking about.
Yes,
yeah,
it's really an unbelievable experience, and it's also, it was one more drop to I want to find the something basement for my soul, because we absolutely not believe in communism and the young people was like komsomols. It's like young communist party. It was horrible. Our grandparents believe on that, but maybe now I'm understood they have a big fear, and they never talk about this opinion about that. It was absolutely impossible. But our generation of our parents, they not believe in this stuff, and they was pretty cynical, and there was a lot of lie around us and around our generation. They can talk in the kitchen and laugh about the communist ideas and blah blah about some events, political, la la la. But immediately in the morning, they're on a job, they can make the big speeches and la la la. It was absolutely like lie everywhere.
Like double-sided kind of.
Yes. And at school, it's all the time. Please never talk any word which you listen in the kitchen at home.
Right. Yeah.
And I was so lucky because when I was in the high school, I was the head of the Komsomol organization of our school. And we tried to make some interesting and good things. But then I met the people who is like on a higher level. It was horrible, and I'm so thankful of God that I met that, and immediately all this idyllic things it's ruined.
Became clear, yeah.
Became clear very early.
That makes sense. Yeah, it seems like meeting the higher echelon of an organization, you realize how gross the organization is.
Yes.
But if you only talk to your immediate supervisor, you can pretend you're all a family and, have the little cake in the corner and,
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, it was interesting.
So then what happened next? Then the 80s came.
When the 80s, it was very difficult. Beginning of 80s, very bad time. No ideas in the country at all. People want to be on the Communist Party just to making career. It was absolutely cynic and very bad situation. And once I was in a monastery in very north of Russia. It's Vologod region. It's Kirillo-Belozersky monastery. It wasn't a monastery, it was half museum, half, I don't know, something. Really beautiful and quiet place. And I make some drawing there. It was, I think at October, pretty cold. And I sitting on the near monastery wall, draw something and near lake. And in very small door on this wall, I saw a very old man with little bucket. And he goes very slowly to this lake to take some water. And then he started to talk with me. His eyes was unbelievable. It's like blue flower. And he was so full of love. I feel that he's really image which I saw just on icons. And he touched my hand. I was really cold, and he, let's go to my room. I will give some hot tea to you. And I spent with him like few hours. I'm stuck here because it's feeling of this person, and he is more like father, more like grandmother. It's unbelievable. He was so sensitive, and quiet, and it was nothing special. But he asked me something. He gave me some answers. But the most important moment when he asked, "Are you baptized?" No. And what about your parents? I don't think so. But maybe they're communist? No. And then it was pause. And he, how they can live? No any roots, even communists, yeah. And it was so big, so serious expression, because this lie everywhere. They live just try to make some career to get some little money. Everybody was so poor. We just can understood how we have to like all the time like fix our clothes. And my mother had just 2 skirts, and but there was like middle middle class. Like, but you cannot believe. But of course, everybody knows about art and theater, museum, la la la. But the level of it was very, very pure. And his question: they're not Christian. They have no baptism. They have no any spiritual roots. Even communists. It was very, very important to me. And then I'm starting to find some people who much closer to the spirituality. But I wasn't. I cannot find any person who can teach me little by little. And then I finish university, I graduate, and then I work on restoration. Big company, and I had really clear decision to baptize. I never read whole Bible, whole evangelist, because it was impossible. I took just little pieces, these handwriting papers, some Xerox from some pages from some books, and it was very interesting. It was some pages from some American bishop. No, not bishop. Father. We know his name. His was Father Alexander Miliant. And it was many generation of people had the information about Christianity from these pages. And then some pages from the also American interesting person. He was monk, Father Seraphim Rose. Both of them from California. Seraphim Rose, he was born on Pomona, and then he had a very interesting way. He tried to find the God. He was goes through all Eastern studies. He studied old Chinese language in Berkeley. He wants to read the original of the spiritual books. And he goes through all different way, and then he's American, Eugene Rose. And then he came to San Francisco Cathedral, Orthodox.
Eugene Rose, also known as Seraphim Rose?
Yeah, then he became Christian, then he became
the
monk, and his Seraphim is his monk name.
After Saint Seraphimos.
Yes. Saint Seraphim, I think Seraphim of Sarov.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yes, Seraphim of Sarov. And he established very interesting monastery here on the north of California and monastery of German of Alaska. It's interesting because I read some little pieces about that, and then I met Father Alexander, who was bishop. On reality, he was bishop and priest on church on Argyle Street.
Nice.
Yes, and the Seraphim Rose was died on 1992, but I visited this monastery a few times. I saw his grave and I met a lot of his disciples.
Nice.
yes, it's about this information. And then
what was he reading in Chinese?
About Seraphim Rose, no question. You can find a lot of information. He wrote a lot of book about his way, and it's really powerful. And can you believe that still now it's new monastic life in Russia, because the monastery started to be open on the end of the 80s, and no any experience of new monastic life on new generation, new life. Seraphim Rose books for nuns and monks now, it's like a spiritual food.
Interesting.
Very
I'll have to look into that.
Yes, please. And
so they exist in English as well?
Sure,
cool.
Sure. He's American, and he studied in Russian and Old Russian. He was unbelievable person, and you will see that's very, very interesting.
So how was the transition? At what point did you come over here?
One second.
Oh, sure.
After my I baptized, I cannot find any teacher and any person who can me to be guidance, spiritual guidance. And I found in our restoration organization one lady. She was Christian, but when she baptized, her husband took her daughter from her, and she was on a mad house. How it's called? Сумасшедший дом.
Psych
hospital. And
for being baptized?
Yes, because she's starting to talk about Christ. You know that
so
it's
she was considered insane.
First step when you baptize. So strong feelings, and you can. It's very. You really want to share with that, and everybody. Oh, she's absolutely crazy,
right.
And especially her husband. And she spent few months on this hospital.
Wow.
And in our this restoration organization, everybody want to talk just about job, and they it was like vacuum around her. But it was. I decided, okay, this lady, it's what I need. And I came to her and started to talk with her, and she gave me some this kind of paper. And I'm starting to read, and one day we go to the church, and she was my spirit godmother.
What was her name?
Tatiana.
Nice.
Tatiana. Yeah, and some smart people usually go to the priest and quietly give some money and make baptism very quietly and secretly. But for me it was no, I will go like on official way. And I came to the church with my passport. They took all my information. It was on a Sunday. I remember it was January 8, 1984. I was 24 at that moment. It was Sunday, and on Monday on the afternoon, both of head of the communist organization of party and Komsomol came to me and started, no, what are you doing? I was so quiet, and I pretend like totally fool. Okay, I'm like that. It was very, very interesting.
Huh.
Wow. But then she cannot give me good spiritual advices. I start to go to the different churches. I try to find some connection. Maybe I was too shy, or maybe I wasn't ready. But I cannot find anybody. All babushkas. You look not so good. You have to wear the scarf or something what not I expected.
Yeah, very
I
surface.
came and I feel that people want to guide me, to explain me something, but nothing. But I think it's my fault. I'm sure it's my. Then I was so busy with restoration. I was totally on this business, and then I had two beautiful children. And I have a lot. I read a lot of interesting books because it's perestroika games, and a lot of interesting book we can find about healing, about herbs, remedies, and it was very interesting. I sit with my children in a dacha, in a country house, from April to November, and we were so close to the nature, and I studied a lot of this kind of knowledge, and mostly by practice.
Mm-hmm.
And then on 1992, my husband got invitation for work here on animation studio Klaski Chupa, and we decided why not. We live on a very bad like condition, small apartment, two very small room with my parents, my husband, two children. It was difficult. It's difficult. Why we spent a lot of time on the country house with no water. It's just electricity. And before our visit to America, I go to one church for confession, and I thought, oh, I'm so. The priest was pretty old and pretty quiet, and I think he was full of wisdom. I'm starting, I'm afraid. I cut the route, we moved, but of course it would be not for a while. It's not for a long time. I'm afraid, but he told me, don't be scary. You will see. You will meet there many interesting spiritual things, and he gave me power. And we came here, and I go to the church, but also I cannot find any this presence of holiness, which I feel from that old person on the north of the Russia, or some little pieces which I started to feel. And friend of mine, she invited me to some yoga classes.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some doubts. What about it? It's okay, but it's interesting.
Mhm.
It's interesting.
So this is 1990s?
Yes, it's
Mhm.
1990s. I think it's 94. I think something
Okay.
like that. Yeah. And we were so lucky. We go to the community center,
Mhm.
and we met very, very interesting person. His name Vishnu White.
Hmm.
He is African American. He looks like very young, but then we know that he wasn't too young. It was just for me. It was just hatha yoga. It was nice. It was good. But little by little, I'm starting to feel him more and more, and I feel that he's not just hatha yoga. I feel his sensitivity, the uh, very quiet and very gentle love from him to each person. And with my friend, she was Hungarian and very, very good person. Once we came to him and asked, maybe you will teach us some meditations, some little bit more than hatha. And immediately he agreed. And we had few years on each Friday morning. He visited my apartment, our apartment. And we had gorgeous, gorgeous classes. But I cannot say that's classes. It's usually we started from the some pranayamas. He very gentle teaches meditation, very, very quietly and very, very gentle. Little by little, by little. And mostly it was lunch, which we prepare with love and conversation. We talk about everything, about science, about art, about sports, about mathematics, and about everything. But his way, now I can say he's to me he was like a son, not like God, of course not, but he was full of the energy of son, with wisdom, generosity. Uh, it was very, very special and interesting time. And once he told me that you have to be healer, I feel that your ability and possibility to do it. And at the same time, we started to, with my friend Petra, we found this organization, Prahnic Healing, in LA. It's established in Philippines, in Manila, by Master Cho Kaksui, and he's head of American this organization in America was Master Ko. And with at the same time we started to go to his classes, his workshops, and study a lot of different things. And then our yoga teacher Vishnu, he decided he needs to go to next step. I remember it was usually spending summertime with children in Russia, and usually in September when I back, he came to my house, and just on that moment, Princess Diane was dead, and he found that it was pretty special sign. We talk about it a lot, and he was so thankful to us for us, because he talked that he found his female nature in his soul. We help him to open it, and he talked that one more woman who is very important to this world now, it's Mother Teresa. And I feel that it can be some signs from her. And in 2 weeks she was died. And it was our last meeting, and we helped him to sell his stuff, and he decided to go to Detroit to his mother because he feels that he is very guilty, and he wants to spend some time with her to organize everything, to ask her forgiveness, and then he was ready to move to India for forever, to study Vedic mathematics.
Interesting.
And we had connection for I think 2 years. We sent the letters to each other. It was no internet on that time, but maybe we not use it. We just sent
AOL.
yeah, something. Yeah. We sent letters and some packages with books, and then he disappeared. And then it's interesting what happened with me. And now I will take in Russia I found the master who is Reiki master, and each summer I spent time with him to study Reiki, and he gave me some как это, освещение.
Blessing.
Not
Yeah.
blessings.
Reiki empowerment, Reiki, the one.
To go to different
I
steps.
I forget the word.
Yeah.
Is it empowerment or is it?
No. It's but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Not blessings. Освещение.
They have a word they use.
Yes. Okay, it's you understand.
Yeah, initiation maybe.
Initiation.
Yeah, that works.
Yes. And I'm starting to heal more and more, just friends, just relatives, and la. And little by little, some people started to came to me. I give a Reiki plus some Prahnic Healing. I study crystal healing. I work with some colors and a lot of things. I remember that time. I was something before 40, around 40. Two moments. What happened in my soul? I'm starting to feel that I'm so responsible for everything. I listen to the news. Okay, I have to heal this situation. I sit and making some healing, and then little by little, I'm starting to feel that my ego starting to grow. I'm starting to feel as I'm responsible. I have to work, to help. But it was many good things. With Prahnic Healing, it was very powerful and interesting experience. We make the free Prahnic Healing in different hospitals, but the special, it was on Vine Street. We work on with AIDS people. It was very powerful. Connect people in different condition and give them love by these treatments. It was very good. Once my grandmother was very close to death. It was another very spiritual condition. I spent all summer with her. I spent 3 nights each week with her, and she was like on a border between this world and another world. And at night she started to communicate with her relatives and friends. It was so real. But I'm glad that I had some experience and understanding of that. But it was really big step to be sure about reality of that another world.
Yeah.
And then after that summer, I came to here, and I decided, I cannot release her. I want to see her one more time at least. And I arrived to Moscow, and she, of course, she doesn't know about. She didn't know about that. She was almost blind and almost deaf on that moment. It was 1 month before her death. She was 96. And I came to her apartment very quietly, and my aunt, she was really busy because she was full of care of her mom, and she needs to go to some stores. Okay, stay here, she's sleeping, it's very quiet, just wait, I will run to make some business in the town. And I'm starting to heal her. I'm starting to clean her, and I use all different technique. It was pretty long, more than 1 hour. And then her eyes was closed, and I was pretty far, like 4 meters from her, and very quiet. I no one sound I did. But she wake up, and with very loud, powerful voice, she almost screamed, "Stop! Stop! Do it! Stop! Do it! I don't want to this witchcraft on me." It was so powerful, and I was shocked. Believe me, I feel that my hair starting to move in my head. It was a big shock.
Wow.
And then quiet. She's blind. She cannot see me. She cannot hear me. She didn't know that I can hear. I just do something with no touches. Can you believe it? Okay, I'm quiet, and I'm starting to express my love to her. And she was relaxed, and she was after that she was very quiet and full of love. But I cannot forget this moment.
Wow.
And another moment. Interesting. It was after Vishnu. I am starting after in meditation. I'm starting to feel really very strong spinning in me. It started here, then it started spinning inside my head and eyes, and sometimes but I decided, okay, it's energy working in me. It's good. I will surrender. I will see what happened. And it started to, on that moment, then started to become stronger and stronger and stronger. And one moment, I decided, energy. But what kind of energy? Energies can be different.
Yeah.
It was interesting question.
Have some fluid. It's liquid. Drink it. Yeah.
at another moment when I'm starting to be more attentional to my positions. Mm-hmm. And then friend of mine, she asked me to be godmother for her daughter, and we goes to the church for baptism. And that father Alexander, he was alive on that moment, which papers we read in Russia, a lot of people read. He was baptized.
Wow. So it kind of comes full circle, and you find yourself in the role of Tatiana.
Yes, yes. And look, during this ceremony, I'm starting to feel very strong energy. I stop the spinning, but anyway, sometimes I have to close my eyes for 4 seconds. And after that, he asked me very quietly, wait for me. I have to bring something to you. And he came to me and he asked, do you have some like spiritual Eastern practice? Yes, I know that. Be careful. Not like, and he gave me one of his little book, which he wrote. I have now a whole box of his books.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so angry on him because I feel that I'm almost flying. I have so many power. I can heal people, and he want to stop this my way.
Yeah.
And I was on that moment I was really angry and put this book pretty far from me, but not on the garbage.
Yeah.
And little by little I'm starting to read it more. And another moment, I healed one lady. She invited me for distant healing of her son. I never met him. He had a very serious head injury, and she invited me for a few sessions of healing distantly in her house, in his room. And I used different technique. I was full of the knowledge and with crystals and blah blah blah. And I think it was almost last or session. I make this treatment, and one moment I'm starting to feel I'm lying. I ask myself, are you sure that you're helping him? It's so serious tragedy happened with him, and me with some stones to making some stuff which is not serious. I'm starting to feel that I pretend to do something, and she give me some money. I'm starting to feel so guilty, and I was try to be deeper in my feelings, and I feel that all this treatment, can I do it or not? And then I'm starting to read more Christian books of old church fathers, and they really ask, don't try to make some miracles. Miracles, it happened itself from very, very clean and high spiritual persons. And many, many another words. And I start to think about it. healing, it's energy. We have to find the source of this energy. And source, it can be different. And my aura and my soul, it's not so clean. If I heal and give this energy from I don't know which route, I hope it from the high level route, I hope so. But who I am to understand this deep, deep position. And through my dirty aura, I have a lot of passions, which I not discover. It's very hard to go to this passion, to be deep inside. It's scary. Sometimes, okay, it's no. I'm good person, especially mostly on people who's from I meet to the Prahnic Healing. Oh, I'm very good person. I'm very spiritual.
They'll get angry defending how spiritual they are. Yeah. But I mean, in Philokalia and in the Russian Orthodox tradition, in the Greek Orthodox, like the monks would talk often about how the more the Holy Spirit descends, the more you see your own impurities, and you kind of recoil a bit. And then that's so the desire to go into a cave and pray with a rope is a genuine desire. It's the thing you want to do more than anything else.
That's true. But I'm not a
At
Greek
that
monk
point.
on that point.
Yeah.
And I feel that, okay, I'm really adventure person.
Yeah.
And I feel that this adventure, it was the most dangerous to me. This understanding I really appreciate of this Father Alexander. We had this meeting for half minute, and I absorbed his knowledge and his idea for years.
Yeah.
And then one day I decide, okay, I will change my way. I wasn't. I not quit Orthodoxy that way. Often I was in the church, but little by little, not so deep. And that moment, I'm starting to be much more in the church, and I really appreciate of this esoteric knowledge and my experience in my life. I'm really appreciate that. I open my sensitivity. Not open, I'm starting to believe in that. It's very natural. Reiki, it's not idea of these special symbols.
Right.
It's blah blah blah.
Yeah, it just needs a structure to hold it together so you can teach something.
Yes, yes. It's just a way for teach, a way for study. But it's really for Eastern people. Because we not believe on our sensitivity and our intuition. We try to make some places which will hold us.
Yeah, something
to
that
help
like a grid.
us. Little by little.
by numbers or something. Yeah.
Yes, and very, very technical.
Yeah.
And especially I remember the class which I took from the Master Cho Kaksu about clairvoyance. It was so funny. You can see aura, you can see this here green, that blah blah. But it's so funny. It's a lot of adults which sitting very seriously and look like, oh yes, of course I can see it. It sparkles. It was so funny.
Nursery school for adults.
Yes.
It does feel that way sometimes.
And I'm starting. My idea was to be very natural, very simple. Reiki is just my loving hand. When I had a child, my touch full of love. how I can remove like self-esteem and ego to feel each person like my baby. And that it started a new life to me. I'm starting to find people who very close to that. Already I'm starting to feel this energy, this aroma of holiness. I'm not, I cannot say for holy people, but some parts of this feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in Russia, I'm starting to visit some monasteries, talk with nuns and monk. I'm starting to travel here for Orthodox places, but here it's a lot. Just near San Francisco, it's 17 places and very interesting monasteries. And I decided, okay, I will try just paint icon, because it was my no, I cannot say. I just make researches about that. I read about that, and unconsciously I'm starting to collect some minerals, some jars, and la 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 la. But believe me, just because these pieces I really love. I use on a different. I painted on a wood like folk art.
Mm-hmm.
And once I met one lady in the church. She was icon painter, and she invited me to her class. And I make my first icon with her.
Nice.
This
one here?
No.
Oh.
It's there. Yeah. It's my really first one. Okay, I will show it later.
Nice. Thank you. Wow, very cool.
Yes. And then
Is that Michael or?
It's Michael, right?
Nice.
Right, it's Michael.
Hmm.
And I'm starting to make some icons for myself. Of course, not for the church. I'm not really show to people. And it happened very interesting thing. In summer, I met one guy. He was a friend of my parents, and he started to study iconography exact on the same month, on December of 1999.
Mm-hmm.
But he's full of male energy. Okay, we iconography, but half year, it's in the summer. We have to help churches. We have to make the icon forever. Who we are? We just starting to be student. But no, we have. And he came. Okay, that church needs the icon. That church, and he pushed me a lot. He was so strong. And we started to make the icons with no, of course, money, just for presents. And it started. And each summer I make some icons for some places. And little by he like teach me to swim by method to took person and put on the middle of the
deep end.
Deeper. Yeah. Yeah, and many interesting meetings, many interesting things. It's a lot of connections. It's all now I feel in my life and many different events which was separate. Now I see very interesting connection. And about this esoteric knowledge, sometimes I feel it's very interesting also about colors of chakras, color levels of hierarchy of colors or vibrations. It goes like together.
Yeah.
Even God's prayer, which we can feel how it goes from the top to something. But now I remove some visions from I stop it.
Yeah.
I not give the permission for all this stuff.
Right.
I try to be very clear and very it's hard to say on this way, but more rational. Remove some sparkling mysticism from that.
Yeah.
But feeling of deep love, feeling of the pure, essential beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I'm just on the beginning. I feel myself just on the beginning of the way. I'm studying and I'm starting to understood the services, liturgy, little by little, but with open heart, with knowledge, with no imagination. I want to feel what I feel.
Yeah.
I want to see what I see. I want to draw just what I can see and feel with no any foggy illusions.
Yeah.
Just, but I'm just on the beginning of this way.
Yeah.
Little by little. I paint icon just 16 years. Just. But believe me, it's maybe just now I'm starting to understand some positions. I have a iconography school at my house for I think 10 years, something like
Nice.
that. And we went and discovered this way with my students together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like spiritual guide because I feel most of them Catholics. Or one lady, she's some organization. It's also between Eastern and Western.
So they're probably
maybe.
from St. Andrew down in El Segundo, Father Alexei Smith,
I know him. Yes, it's a few
the
of
Russian
my.
Catholics. That's where I was confirmed into the Russian. You know, I mean, there's only 4 now.
Yeah.
There were 3 at the time.
Yeah.
So it was Denver, and no, San Fran. Well, anyway, they opened the one in Denver after after I came in. But I was baptized in a Lutheran church when I was 10, but I was chrismated in a Russian church when I was 20. I guess I was 28. I was 28 when it happened. But I sang in the choir for 4 years. But it was mostly English. But some, you know, sviot, you know. So
Yeah,
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I'm also like disciples on the choir. I'm still also try to sing.
Yeah, I love the incense. I love the iconography, and I love the music and the chandeliers. You know, and it's unfortunate when like I find myself in agreement with what was that band, you know, the where they got arrested for performing in a Russian church, and it's like
yes.
so it's like I'm not politically in
you're
alignment with by any means with the Russian Orthodox Church, but everything except for that, you know, I mean, like I definitely am progressive when it comes to, you know, I think that everyone should have the right to get married regardless of what kind of relationship it is, whether it's heterosexual or homosexual, you know, to be clear.
I just I really like this story, which is very important to me. One spiritual old man sitting in the corner of the road and crying, and people ask him, "Why are you crying? What happened?" "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." What? About what? About people. Which people? About all of them. And I met one old priest. He was very old, and he was really close to death. And I saw that. He loved his son. His on the same level like me, and because it's huge love, and just to sit with him, it was Prahnic Healing, all technique, everything was just be really close to that person. And how Seraphim of Sarov tell, self and clean yourself, and people around you will save. And I think it's a very, very important point. And be very attention to movement of passion inside. I think it now for me it's very, very important.
It reminds me of an expression, physician, heal thyself.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this conversation. Of course, I know that I talk too much.
No, that's what this is for. It's for you to talk.
No, it's too much, and sorry for my English.
No, it's wonderful. No, I was a child of the Cold War, So I mean, my grandmother spent a lot of time in Russia. She was married to a Standard Oil executive named George Ott. And they hung out she grew up playing tennis with the former, royal family of Russia, and then went to Russia and was hanging out with the people, the Soviets that were running it. So she was kind of hanging out with both sides. And then her husband died, but she was traveling a lot. I don't know exactly what Standard Oil executives do or did in the 20s and 30s, but it involved a lot of traveling, and somehow she already knew my grandfather. And so he left his first wife, who was a school teacher, and married her. And so though there was no Russian blood, there was plenty of love of the culture. And my dad grew up playing Ivan Reberov for me, and explaining different things and painting different pictures. And we used to go to downtown LA and eat breakfast at Gorky's, and he'd show me the Cyrillic alphabet on the newspaper on the walls. And then I'd go back to school, and people would be, talking about Russians as the bad guys, and I'd defend the Russians. And then, so I ended up being, they'd call me Russian, and I was like, okay, whatever. And so my dad taught me how to say, "Я не говорю по-английски" if somebody asked me for money, things like that. So I always felt tied to the culture, even though it was just by, not by blood, but by interest.
By interest in blood, it's it's nothing. It's
yeah. So I loved hearing the first-hand account of Moscow in the 70s, and that's great. That's cool. It's very interesting journey.
Yes.
I think a lot of people can relate to it in various ways and from various angles, and that's great. Thank you so much for sharing.
And if it's possible to read some of Seraphim Rose,
okay.
You will see it's a very, very serious person with very interesting background.
Do you have any? Do you have a website for your iconography classes? How should I just have people contact you on Facebook if they want to learn?
Just on Facebook, yeah.
Okay, cool. I know I have at least one friend who will might just contact you about that, because it's a very specific kind of art, and it's very beautiful. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Marina, for being our guest tonight on the Esoterinerd podcast. And thank you, Masha, for facilitating that. Special thanks to Susumu Ueda, as well as his father and the other monks at Jofuku-in Temple on Mount Koyasan for the music in the introduction, as well as the music you're hearing right now. Special thanks to the Orthodox Singers, with choir master Georgy Smirnov. Thank you to Camille and Kennerly for the lovely harp transitions, the Game of Thrones transitions into and out of the interview. Thank you to Jean-Michel Jarre for Oxygen, the album that we hear in the background while I recite Transformations. And most importantly, thank you to you, the Esoterinerd, listening to this podcast. This coming Thursday, Joe Shantz and I will be interviewing Frater Barabbas. And if any of you have a huge heart and deep pockets, and you'd like to help a friend of mine get through school in the Philippines, you can contact her on Facebook. Her name's Kirsty Lellis Lacre, KerstieLellis Lacre. And we'll close with Ivan Reberov singing Moscow Nights. Thank you all for tuning in. Good night.
Все, что на сердце